What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the Raging Rainbow. My name is Dylan, here to do another comic book review with you guys. And today we're looking at Radiant Black number 2 from Image Comics. Now, I picked up the first issue of this series, and I wasn't all that impressed, especially considering how much they hyped up this book. But I was like, you know what? I'll pick up the second issue and see if we see any kind of improvement. And not really, but there were some interesting things in here that I do feel bear talking about. And so let's just kind of get into some of this. So we see that the protagonist, I cannot remember his name, and I'm not going to try to right now. He's talking to, I think it's his dad, right? Whom he lives with. And so he's talking about his dad's telling him, like, look, you don't have a job, right? Like you don't have any money coming in. And so his son's like trying to do this thing that a lot of us, and I'm going to say us because I'm including myself in that. I used to be the same way. Used to be. Uh, but he's doing this thing like, yeah, dad, like I am working. Like the things that I do every day, like that's my work. Like I'm a writer. I have to keep writing. Like that's my thing. And his dad's telling him, like, look, I know that you say you're a writer or whatever, but that's not bringing you money. I know that you do that, but that's not bringing you money. So you can't really call it a job because it's not bringing you money. So he ends up telling her, like, look, why don't you go back to basically being like an Uber or a Lyft driver. And he tells his dad, like, look, that job was pennies. Like, it didn't get me anything. He was like, it doesn't matter. Okay. A job's a job. Money is money. And that's pennies you didn't have before, which is another very salient point that needs to be made. I've worked some very crappy jobs, and you are never above making money when you need it. Okay. Doesn't matter what the job is. If you need that money, you're not above it. Okay. If you got rent due, you aren't above sweeping that floor or cleaning that toilet. You're not above that. If you got that light bill due, you are not above serving tables or washing dishes. You are not above that. So don't play like you are, because that tends to happen to a lot of people, especially around my generation. We tend to think we're too good or we're too pretty for those jobs. Trust me, I've done just about every type of like disgusting thing you can think of. Get your mind out of the gutter. Then again, but even with that, like I said, it was because my bills were due. I had to pay my stuff. I had to support myself. I had to get through somehow. And so that's what his dad is trying to get through to him here. Like, you need to do what you got to do, because my house, the house that you're living in now while you're trying to figure it out, yeah, that was built on those pennies that you're saying you're too good for. So he ends up going like on like to think like, okay, I'm going to think about it or whatever. But then we switch back to well, we don't switch back, but we see like his powers start to manifest, and he kind of like freaks out about it at first because like the thing comes back. I don't know what it's called, the radiant or whatever this thing is that gives him his powers. It comes back, it just like makes him start levitating or whatever. And so there's knocking at the door, so he immediately like figures out a way to like suppress it, and then he goes and answers the door, and it's the cops. And they're showing up because they need to confront him about something. But while they're talking to him, his mom actually shows up, and she's like, what's going on? What did she say? Like, what his name is? Oh, his name is Nathan. So she asks him, like, yo, what's going on? Because, I mean, obviously she's walking up to her house and she sees her son being talked to by police officers. So she's a little bit concerned, but they immediately like play it off like, oh, no, we're here to congratulate or thank your son because he helped us with the situation. In this last issue, he had helped out at the train tracks. There was almost an incident, but he stopped the train or whatever. And these cops saw it, but then he like escaped before they could say anything, before they could like question him or whatever. And so they show up now, and once his mom is gone because she buys the lie or whatever, they're like, yeah, you just go ahead and you can go inside because we just need to talk to him about that. She's like, all right, cool. So they start telling him like, hey, are you connected to the other guy who looked like you? And he's like, wait, what do you mean? There's another one? Because we saw at the end of the last issue, there was a guy who looks just like him, basically this guy. Because the hero, Nathan, when he looks powered up, he's like this, but he's blue. And this is his like arch nemesis. I'm assuming it's kind of baked into the fact that he's red. I mean, it kind of felt like, what is this? Pokemon Red and Blue? Like, that's our villain. What's your name? Red. Like, oh, okay. But they're asking him like, are you connected to him in any way or whatever? Because you have the same suit, you have like basically the same powers. It seems like, so are you two connected? And he's like, no, I don't know that guy. So They take off because they got something else. They got to actually go work. Darn. Got to go work and suppress someone else, right? So they take off. And this is another thing. Like, these backgrounds they're just kind of bland. Like, I realize this is probably kind of true to life. Like, this, I'm sure there are a lot of people who's like backyards who look like this, but a lot of these backgrounds are just like really boring. And if they're not just like random like broadsides of a building, it's just colors. So I mean, kind of lackluster there as well. But anyway, he ends up deciding like, yeah, he needs to go. He's going to go and try and track down this guy because he's hoping to get some more understanding about what this thing is from him. But he doesn't know who this is, and he doesn't know any way to find him. So he decides, you know what? Let me just try asking people. So he goes back to the whole Uber Lyft thing, and it's called Driver in this world, which I guess was kind of clever. Not really. So we get this like montage thing where he's talking to all these different people, and I got the gag, but I've gotten this gag in just about every comic book that we put out now. I mean, I'm gagged out at this point. So I had a nickel for every time I said that. But we go to this scene like where he's transforming, and then he tracks down the guy, and he does this like really weird, like, I don't know who is there a person like this? Like, who is this written as? Because the way that and I'm asking this charitably because Kyle Higgins I actually really like. Like, I loved Cowl. That series was awesome. But the way that he's acting, the hero Nathan is acting in the scene, is so ridiculous. Like, this is a person who you've heard from the cops, he does bad things. I think he even saw evidence that he committed a crime last time. And now you're just walking up to him like as if he's going to be friendly to you because you very politely ask him for advice on what's going on with you. So he's not having it, and he just immediately starts kicking the crap out of him because he's like, oh great, another one who could possibly stop me since he has the same power. So he's like, yeah, we got to do something about that. So the red guy immediately starts beating the crap out of him, and he keeps trying to reason with him. It's like as if it doesn't click in his mind, like, oh yeah, this guy might be trying to kill me. Not at any time does that occur to Nathan. At every point, he's like, if I just get him to understand that I just want to talk to him, then he will stop hitting me. Don't ever try that strategy in real life, because it's not going to end the way you think it will. So basically, it ends the way that I'm telling you it will. And he smashes his face in so bad that like he puts a crack into the helmet thing. And then he just kind of takes off thinking like, okay, I think that should have at least driven the point home that he needs to give this up. So he gets up and he starts like taking off, but then he realizes like, oh crap, the dude's taking off in my car. So he like runs after him. And again, he's still acting annoying. Like, he catches up to the car while he's flying his own car. This dude just stole his car. He had to fly after him to catch up to him. And now he flies up to the car and says, so sorry, I think we totally got off on the wrong foot here. I can definitely stay out of your hair. I just really need my car back. Like, really, really need. And at that point, I was hoping that this guy was going to just like jackknife him. Just like jerk the wheel into him and take him out, please. Because that was so annoying. Really? He just stole your car and you're saying, please, I really, really, really need you to give me my car back. You're flying and you know you have powers. Do something about it. God. So he eventually remembers, oh yeah, I can do stuff. And he manages to like do something about it because the car ends up almost going off the side, but he manages to catch it with like his energy powers or whatever. And so the red dude decides to bail. And so when he's trying to run away, he uses his powers again and like takes the bags from the guy. And the dude just like says, fuck it, and takes off. So he's about to, this part wasn't so bad because this was kind of true to life. Because when I saw this, I was like, that's probably what I would have done. Because he gets it. He doesn't know what's in the bags, which how dense do you have to be to not be able to figure out what's probably in those bags? So anyway, he gets the bags and he looks in them and he finally sees like, oh, it's money. And then he's like, he's ready. He's like, oh, I should totally take some because I need some. And he's like, yeah, nobody will ever know. And then he was like, no, I can't. Which would have been the exact same sequence of events had it been me. I would have been like, yes, I'm going to take some of this. I would be like, I'm going to regret it if I do. I know I will. So he just ends up like floating the money down to the cops or whatever, and they're just all confused too. And then he leaves them a little note. He's like, I think you lost this, whatever. And we go back to the scene where he's talking to his dad, and he's telling him like, look, you were right. What you said was very true. And he says that he's partially right. He says this writing thing, it isn't going to happen overnight for me. And even if it could, I don't think that would be best. Nothing worthwhile comes from a shortcut, right? Maybe I'll keep driver driving. As awful as it is, I can make a little money and also my own hours, which is important for the second part. The part you're wrong about. I do need to write, whether someone is paying me or not, because that's the only way things really change. And so that means I need to make time for it, 1 to 2 days a week. It's going to be hard and it's going to take time, but I need to do this. I need to put in the real work and see if it's in it. If it's in me and I need you to be okay with that. And so his dad's like, yeah, I'm fine with that. And that's absolutely what you should do. And he's like, huh? Like, I thought you were going to like give me some pushback on it. He's like, no, I I was hoping that that's what you were going to say. And so he ends up telling him that like he got an email from Driver and he made $200 one night. Like, so well then, extra raisins for you. And it's like, oh, isn't that a touching moment? But that last part was also, like I said, very salient. And that's why I'm saying this comic, even though like as far as being a superhero comic goes, it didn't do a very good job of that. As far as being informative to young people, it does a great job of that, because that last point he makes at the end is a very good point. This is something that I talked about with my mom back when I started telling her that I was going to start pursuing more creative interests. Because the thing is, what most people don't understand is they think because they're creative and because they want to be someone special, someone talented, that that's all it takes to be someone special and someone talented. You have to actually put in the effort. And not everyone is just going to blow up overnight. And even if you do, like he says, that probably wouldn't be for the best, because not everyone knows how to handle fame and fortune and notoriety like that. A lot of people take time to develop that discipline, especially within their own lives, before they're able to have a life that encompasses other people like that. But it's such a good point that he puts forth there when he says that he does need to, have like the regular job or whatever, but that he also needs to be writing. He needs to put that into extra time. And that's another thing people think. They think because they just have like a full-time job, well, then, someone else needs to give me the time and the opportunity to work on what I actually need to do. No, no, no. What you need to do is, since you already have figured out your workload and how to do the things you don't really want to do, so you can maybe make some time to do the things you want to do, now you got to squeeze out a little bit more time so you can try and pursue those creative interests. And like he says, that's hard. It's hard and no one likes it. It's not particularly always fun, but it's what you got to do. That's how you actually get there. You can't just sit around expecting that someone's going to knock on your door or walk up to you in public and offer you some opportunity of a lifetime. You got to make that happen for yourself. And so that's what he's pretty much saying here at the end. Like, he's telling his dad, I understand that now, that that's what I have to do. I have to actually put in the effort if I want to become somebody. And so I think that at the very least was a very good point to put into this comic. And so if for nothing else other than that, I did enjoy reading it. I guess I'm going to pick up the next issue and we'll see where it continues to go from there. Because like I said, as a straight up superhero book, it's not exactly the best in that it hasn't. I mean, the villain, we don't know. Two issues. They've set up that he's like a villain. I get the slow burn thing and I can kind of appreciate that, but at the same time, they haven't given us enough of him. And then on top of that, they've made Nathan kind of a naive dumbass at just like random times. And then I guess, hopefully this last part that we saw at the end here is a turning point for him where he starts to become more mature, because up to this point, he's been annoying. He's been annoying the crap out of me. And so I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping to see something more come from this character. But I guess we'll see what ends up happening. But that's going to do it for me, guys. If you read this issue, I would love to know, what did you guys think? Did you see any of the same themes that I did, or did you see anything different that I might have missed? Please feel free to let me know in the comments. Like the video if you like the video, and subscribe if you want to come back and see more. I do stuff like this. I just recently reviewed the Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I also sometimes review like news and stuff. So I just like to do things that are very nerd related. I like to talk about them, give you my perspective, and open it up for other people to talk about it. I'm not looking for people to just agree with me. I would love to know if you disagree too, because that's the only way we're going to get anywhere. That's the only way we learn different positions, is if we disagree with each other. So feel free to let me know what you think. And if you guys are done here, then go read a book. If not, then I will see you on the next video.